דרכי נועם וכל נתיבותיך שלום. In the late summer, I went on a hike in the Sierra Nevada mountains in hopes of finding Lily Lake again. A lake I remember from my childhood, rimmed with lily pads and grasses, nestled in the nook of the mountains. As I walked towards the lake along a narrow, bumpy dirt road, I began to make out a patch of the glimmering lake between the trees, and I saw a sign, Lily Lake Trail, 2 miles. I thought, perfect. It will take me around the lake, and I will walk just far enough to get a good glimpse of it, and then I'll see the lilies, and then I'll turn back. But as I walked, the path turned sharply away from where I knew the lake should be and traversed an ever-ascending rocky scree field, higher and higher. The trail was for the most part all rock, and someone must have exerted such great effort to make it possible to discern where to go next. As I walked on this impressively crafted trail, I became ever more certain that it would not in any way be taking me around Lily Lake. A couple of times I pulled out my GPS phone map and I saw that I was still on the Lily Lake Trail, but it also confirmed, yep, this trail is not taking me around Lily Lake. In fact, it is taking me up and away and far beyond. But I thought maybe at least if I walk a little farther, a little higher, I will be able to see the lake in its entirety. And so I climbed in search of that view and discovered instead a very different view of 2 different lakes in the other direction. In the foreground was Fallen Leaf Lake, and beyond it, considerably dwarfing the smaller Fallen Leaf Lake, was Lake Tahoe. Now, not what I was looking for, but lovely. As it was now getting late and the sun would soon drop behind the mountains, I decided it was time to turn around. And as I did and I rounded a bend, sure enough, below the fallen rock and through the trees was the little, lovely, sparkling Lily Lake. I could not quite see the full lake, but I could absolutely see more of it than when I had begun. I reflected as I made my way back down the rocky hillside. Early on in the hike, as I realized the trail was taking me away from Lily Lake, I kept thinking, the name Lily Lake Trail is such a poor name for this trail. The name caused me to believe that the trail would lead me in some way to Lily Lake, and it didn't. But now as I descended, all became obvious. The trail had been leading me from Lily Lake all along, and that means something. And now that I had turned around, I was indeed walking toward it. And so it clearly depends on the direction one is walking or the perspective one might have regarding what particular path might mean. For me that afternoon, no matter my forward direction, the lake was always either behind me or in front of me. It was either from where I was walking or towards where I was walking. In sum, Lily Lake was always there. And furthermore, regardless of my to and from direction, more than a destination or a name, Lily Lake Trail was my way. And it did not falter in being there for me as long as I needed it. I felt grateful for the gift of this particular trail, as if I have been lost before. I know the way trails can disappear in rocky terrain, and that could have easily happened that day, but it never did. I could always discern where the trail was, and I was indeed on it. And that trail, whatever its name, existed because literally granite boulders of all sizes had to be moved and stacked to make it possible for me to follow the path that was before me and to not fear too much that I would become lost. And as many of us know, discernible paths can make all the difference between lost and found. Unsurprisingly, being me, all of these thoughts brought me to think about my journey and our journeys with Judaism. I have shared in the past that as a child, I wanted to go to Hebrew school, but it wasn't what happened for me for all kinds of reasons, but I always still wanted it. And while my family was quite secular, there was absolute clarity. We were Jewish. As I grew up, Judaism for me was both the little shimmering lake behind me, slightly hidden by the trees, and also the path I was walking on all along, even though I was yet unsure what that meant. And so as I walked and wandered through the years, I felt compelled to seek and learn more. And I began to find it, with ever-increasing visibility from higher up, from my adult eye view. And the more I walked, I saw with increasing clarity the joy of Jewish community, the comfort of navigating darkness and light together as a people, the relevant and ever-evolving wisdom through the generations, and the embrace of an ancient, intentional, and meaningful system of ritual. And I loved it all. During one particular High Holy Days, as I engaged in deep reevaluation of my life, I came to know fully where I needed to go. I saw the shimmering lake of Judaism as I held a machzor in my hand and heard the shofar blast and sat in sacred and yearning community. And for so many reasons, I walked into that new year researching rabbinical schools and how I might one day be able to enter the doors of one of them as a student. And this was my path that eventually led to this Jewish moment in my Jewish journey. And what a wonderful view I have before me. Each of us is on our unique path, journeying as humans, as community, and as Jews. Tonight, as we enter the Jewish New Year, we are in a 10-day journey of Teshuvah, the Jewish idea of returning to ourselves, our Torah, our God, and our aspirations for our lives and for the world in this coming year. And what we are doing tonight is but one leg of a hike of a lifetime. This is a hike that is ever unfolding as it continuously leads us up and in a way and far beyond what we might ever have been able to imagine. And if we look back to the place from which we have come, to the place that is the reason for being here tonight, we see our Judaism like Lily Lake below, a vibrant, life-giving wellspring blooming with blessings and wisdom extending back thousands of years. And this beautiful, fascinating, and meaningful Judaism, this way of being, is here and accessible because boulders of faith, courage, education, dedication, overcoming, camaraderie, and ingenuity were moved, with surely some miracles sprinkled on top. Whether we were born to Judaism or chose Judaism, or on the path to choosing Judaism, or traveling through life with someone who is Jewish, we are on a journey of something that is ever revealing itself to us. We do not presume as Jews ever to know all there is to know or to see all there is to see. That is why we read Torah again and again, year after year, each year engaging with the Torah as we engage with our ever-changing lives. And each year we are a little higher up the mountain, such that our view keeps growing and we see further out to new horizons. And as we look back, we see ourselves and our heritage, our faith, from newer and larger vantage points. It seems I am not the first to think about Judaism in this way, as our tradition is full of metaphors about traversing paths. Some of them that might be familiar include the practice of observing mitzvot, commandments, and living a Jewish life is called halakha, which means path. And there is a phrase in Judaism to describe a certain kind of person. We say a person has derech eretz, which means they are on the path of the earth, which means they are walking the good path of living ethically, generously, thoughtfully, and with integrity. And this concept is so important, in fact, that there's a tractate of the Talmud named for it. After someone does something well in services, we say, Yashar koach, Yashar kochech, Yashar kochechem. This is a blessing that literally means, may you go, walk, head towards straight to strength. And we similarly say to each other at certain moments, may you go, may you walk from strength to strength, an expression that comes from the Psalms. And in the Proverbs, it is said of Torah, Eitz chaim hi lemachazikim ba, derachecha darcheno am v'chol netivatecha shalom. She, the Torah, is a tree of life to those who hold strongly to her. Her pathways are ways of pleasantness. All her paths are peace. And there are even more examples. Clearly, Judaism understands, uplifts, and points us toward path-taking. And Judaism, in part, has endured for so long because, as the view has changed over time, dedicated thinkers have not abandoned it, but have strived to keep it relevant, forging new paths onward. In these modern times, we as a people find ourselves walking many pathways in many ways. We have the denominations of Orthodoxy, Reform, Renewal, Conservative, and Reconstructionist. We may be secular, observant, progressive, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, and more. We may see God nowhere, God up there, God everywhere, God in nature, God in between, or God as a verb. We may be religious Zionists, cultural Zionists, not Zionists, not sure Zionists. We may eat kosher or kosher style or not kosher, or something in between that includes Bubby's kugel, bagels and lox, brisket, matzah balls, and zatar, and more. We may celebrate Shabbat and holidays with strict observance or with less strict observance, and always with joy. We may find our path of Judaism strongly aligned or infused with the practices of Musar, meditation, Torah study, Talmud study, music, social justice. And we may particularly feel connected to our Judaism and spirituality when we light candles on Shabbat, when we enter this sanctuary, when we are at a house of mourning, when we eat matzah at a Seder, when we learn of incidents of Jew hatred, when we dance at a Jewish wedding. There are so many Jewish paths forged and so many Jewish ways to travel them, all in service of helping us find our way, often across extremely difficult terrain, to the vistas of perspective and understanding, imagined and not yet imagined. And all the while, as we travel, we are on the greater journey that is Judaism, which at its core teaches us and asks of us, love thy neighbor as yourself, pursue justice and peace, tend the earth and her creatures, pay attention, welcome the stranger and feed the hungry, seek the light and give thanks. Keep learning, question everything, and wrestle with God. Come together and forgive others and yourself. Stay strong and turn toward joy. Start with healing yourself and then go out and heal the world. This is how we walk as a people. Tonight, Each of us is facing any number of things in our personal lives. And as a Jewish people, these are such tender times as we continue to reel from October 7th and the conflict and war still unfolding in the Holy Land, as well as ever-increasing anti-Semitism. As Americans, we are anticipating a presidential election in a time of great division and world threats of totalitarianism. And as humans, we are all experiencing the effects of climate change. We do not know what lies ahead. We might imagine the trail leading in many possible directions. Will the next year be one of healing, resolution, clarity, security, peace? Many of us feel fear, anger, despair, loneliness, hopelessness, overwhelm. There is so much that has gone wrong and could go wrong, and so much unfolding for which we do not have control. But we get to choose how we are to walk through these feelings and these times. And lucky us, we get to walk from and toward and with our Judaism, even when we think the trail signs are misleading or we are not sure we are walking in the right direction, like I felt this summer when I was trying to find my little Lily Lake. But with Judaism, the path is literally always there below our feet. This path has endured for thousands of years, and that really means something. Judaism says, here is the path. There is not the path, and things may go awry if we lose sight of the path. And so as we fully step into the new year, may we bring our integrity and flexibility to our journey into the new and larger vistas that we encounter because we are Jewish. May our interconnected paths honor our authentic and resilient Judaism and take us where we need to go. May we notice how our ancient, robust, and sparkling Judaism is always either behind us or in front of us and is simultaneously the way forward and the source of ongoing wisdom, clarity, comfort, transformation, and hope. And may all our paths be paths of true and lasting peace. Yashar kochachem, may you and yours go straight from strength to strength. L'shana Tova.